All right. Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I know some people are on mute, and thank you.
Good evening.
But we're really excited this evening to get started on our latest Houston Beekeepers Association virtual meeting. So a couple of tips for those of you listening in. We do want everyone to, of course, mute their lines because we're going to have a lot of people on the phone today. And obviously, we will open it up for questions later in our meeting. So you get to ask questions of our speakers and anything else that you are curious to ask about. My name is Sandy Murray. I'm the Houston Beekeepers Association president. We've got Nicole on the phone or on the meeting doing all of our driving because she's an amazing secretary. And then also Joe Powers, who actually has helped us schedule these great speakers, who's our vice president, and Shelly Rice, who is our treasurer. So they're on with us today. So we're really excited. I know everyone's dialing in from home or something similar, but it's really going to be a great meeting today. Obviously, we're going to start off with a couple of quick announcements and updates, and then jump right into our speaker, who is Randy Oliver, and then give you guys some time for questions with him. And don't forget, at the end of our meeting, we will have door prizes, or I guess virtual door prizes, since you don't have a door per se, but we'll go with it. We always give away things at the end of our meeting. So just a real quick announcement. As you guys know who are members, there is lots of benefits to being a Houston Beekeeper Association member. These lovely, meetings and the great people that we bring to speak to you guys and share their thoughts and knowledge on beekeeping, as well as access to our inventory of rental equipment, some of those big purchase items that not every beekeeper needs to have one of their own. But most importantly, you get a whole community of bee neighbors. So here in Houston and in the surrounding areas, there are a lot of beekeepers. And so it's great to know who is actually keeping bees in your neighborhood, as well as get ideas and share knowledge across the group. So we hope that is the biggest benefit that you get out of your membership with us. Again, it is priceless at the low cost of $25 for individuals, $15 for students, and $40 for family. And you can actually pay for those memberships on our website. Again, we're in the middle of the year, so your membership is good from January to December. So please go ahead and do that when you get a chance. Here's some of our equipment that's up for rental. Lately, it's been kind of busy. A lot of people harvesting, so all the extractors are out right now, but I think some may come back in this weekend. But lots of extracting going on. Obviously, we have extractors and uncapping tanks. And then also we have things like the observation hive if you ever need to share or you're doing some kind of educational event with other groups. So those are all great things that you can actually utilize as part of your membership. If you're interested in that, please email us for those reservations for the gear. And so with that, I am so excited to turn it over to Randy Oliver. For those of you that are not aware, Randy is a seasoned beekeeper, lots of experience, author, scientist, biologist. If you haven't checked it out already, he has an amazing site with lots and lots of fact-based, evidence-based research on beekeeping, and especially VARROA on scientificbeekeeping.com. So we're really excited to have you today, Randy. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. Start off with telling this group a little bit about yourself, and then jump on in. And you're welcome to share your screen if you have a presentation for us.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay. Well, we've been doing bee work all day today also. Lots of research projects going on right now. I'm in the middle of a large field trial, 250 hives of various hot weather mite treatments that you can use when honey supers are on. So I'm testing out 3 different applications of extended release oxalic acid in glycerin, and then 2 different application methods of Formic Pro, formic acid, and then the HopGuard 3, the new HopGuard that's out there, and comparing them all with control hives, and we're halfway through collecting data on that. And then I got another one. Beekeepers are asking me about the probiotics on the market, whether they're of benefit. And so I'm collaborating with Dr. Kirk Anderson from the USDA lab in Tucson, and he's going to do all next-gen sequencing on my samples. I've already sent him the starting samples, so we've got 80 hives involved in that, feeding 2 different probiotics, 2 different groups, different probiotic, and a control group. That's going to be a 7-month trial, and he's going to track all the bacteria, viruses, fungi inside those hives. And I'm going to measure colony strength and weight gain of those hives over that time and see what condition they are going for almond pollination. And then right now, we're just finishing setting up a trial of all the major pollen subs. So each of the manufacturers is sending me their top tier pollen sub. We've got 126 hives in that trial. And we'll be, our dearth is just starting right now. So normally our colonies, unless we give them pollen sub, will go downhill severely. So we need to feed them pollen sub in order to get them to go to almonds strong. So it's a very good test site for them. And so we'll be feeding 7 different pollen subs and comparing them and seeing which ones perform best. So lots of things going on. And then you'll see I'll show you some of the research I've been doing the last couple of months in a few minutes.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're definitely a busy bee.
Definitely this time of year, yes, the days are very long, and but getting a lot done, but we've got all these trials set up. Beekeepers just keep asking me questions, and they send donations, and if I can afford it, then I run these tests objectively to give just straight answers to beekeepers for practical beekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
So tell you what, let me share my screen here. Here. Okay, can you guys now see a screen with a graph on it with red at the top, red on the right? Yes, okay. So this is a model of how Varroa builds up in a colony. And it's a free download. I've just revised it. Just if you Google Randy's Varroa model, you can download this. And if you have Excel on your computer, you can use this. And you can try different mite treatment strategies. And you can kill 100 hives in a night, and it doesn't cost you anything until you figure out a strategy that actually works for you. And we use this all the time. It's very, very accurate. You enter the, right here, you put in your colony type. So I'm putting in a default colony, and there's a list of colony types right here, and it's totally customizable if you want to. Your mite immigration level and your starting mite level. And with those, the way you work this is, let's just say I go out to my hives right now. Let's say it's the 1st of July, and I have a mite count of 4. Well, this shows your colony population, adult bees. This shows your amount of seal brood, and the red shows the percent of seal brood that's infested by a mite. This is your mite population here, and this is your alcohol wash count. So if I had an alcohol wash count of 9 right now, I'd say, oh, well, or 5 right now. Well, this is saying 9. That means I'm starting with too many. So what I'll do is, let's say I'll start with 70 mites here. And when I hit enter, it'll adjust it. No, let's start with more. Let's start with 50 mites. And okay, that took it down to 4. So not quite. So we'll start with 55 mites. And then that calculates it. Okay, so now we've just adjusted the model to our actual conditions in the hive. So what you do is, when you go out, you do a mite wash, and whatever it is, you just adjust this starting number until for your actual date, you get that. And this predicts that if you don't do something with this here, by October, you're going to be up in the danger range, and probably by November, your colony will die from Varroa. So you could do a treatment right now, and you click in here, you look down here to the treatment efficacy, so it'll tell you what you can do, and that's what I'm testing right now. So let's just say you put in a treatment that will kill 90% of the mites early July. You type in 90%, hit enter, and then it calculates. Oh, well, now you're good until, well, you might even make it through the winter, but possibly not. You might have to do one more treatment. So let's just say you do a quickie treatment, maybe with the octapaper, and let's say you kill just 50% of the mites right there. And I don't know why this is running so slow. This is usually instantaneous. Oh, I don't want it there. Oh, I got this big pointer on here, so okay, delete. Okay, let's just say here in October, we killed 50% of the mites. And we hit enter. And oh, we're good. Except for you started with 55 mites in the spring, you ended with 349. So that's not sustainable. You'd need to do something else to be sustainable, which means probably in December, you might need to do another 90% mite kill. Come on, let's get this in here. There we go. 90% mite kill. And now we're down to 35 mites. So if you were to do this, you would be sustainable. You're ending with 35. So that means you start the next year with 35. So this would be sustainable for your area right there. So you can adjust this and play around. So the thing to realize is that VARROA is not what kills your colony. What kills your colony is deformed wing virus. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there's a virus going around called coronavirus, and it causes a disease called COVID-19. I think I've heard something about Texas on the news just recently about this. So maybe you guys have heard about this. And what people are suggesting is you guys cut down transmission. And you cut down transmission by wearing a mask and not kissing and touching each other and shaking hands. Well, the same thing in your beehives. The transmission is not from a mask, the transmission is through the varroa mite. So what you're doing when you're doing mite management is just like wearing a mask to keep the epidemic from building in your hive. And if you can keep the varroa level low, then deforming virus doesn't get out of hand and your colony does not die from the virus epidemic. The key thing to this is you got to do some mite monitoring. You got to do some alcohol or some kind of washing to monitor for that. So that's what I'm going to show you now. Okay, I'm going to do a new share. And share this. And I can move some stuff around here. Slideshow from current slide. Come on, there you go. Okay, have you seen the, can you guys see a big orange screen right now? Okay, so this is the middle of a PowerPoint presentation. This is just on one section of some of the research I've done this spring. And this is on the sampling methods for varroa. So one of the things a lot of commercial guys do is the ether roll, where you put some starting fluid in with some bees and you roll it around. Is very inaccurate. So I would not count on the ether roll. A lot of hobby beekeepers use the sugar shake. Some researchers do also. Right here, I'm shaking them onto paper. Better is to put them over a pan of water, and then the sugar dissolves and the mites float on top, and it's very easy to count the mites with this. A lot of people like this one because it doesn't kill, you don't want to sacrifice any bees. Although the sacrifice of bees is so minimal that I personally don't feel that, I personally don't use this one because there's a trade-off on your sensitivity of the method. What you want to do is you want to be able to recover close to 100% of the mites from the wash. And the reason is because you're going to detect, you want to be able to detect fairly low mite levels. You want to detect when you're at about the 2% infestation rate, or earlier in the season, I want to detect the 1% infestation rate, which means with 300 bees, you want to, we never like to let our mite levels get above 6 mites in a half cup of bees. That'd be 300 bees. In the early spring, we don't want to be over 1 mite in there. So if you don't have a sensitive method that picks up all the mites, you're going to have false negatives. You don't realize that you have it. And it's easy to have some false negatives with a poorly performed sugar shake. So the gold standard typically is the alcohol wash. Unfortunately, a number of beekeepers have pointed out that with coronavirus, you may not be able to find alcohol on the shelf. I'm noticing it's starting to get back on there, but for a while it wasn't there. So people were saying, Randy, what can we use instead of alcohol? So here's a paper from 2008 where one of the researchers compared the different kinds of recoveries. Now, gasoline was recommended by the Germans back in the 70s and 80s when they already had varroa, but using gasoline when you have smokers around and stuff is probably not the wisest thing to do. So we've developed other methods here. And what I found is when you're doing these washing, there's actually several separate steps, and you have to understand these. And this has been a learning curve for me. I've been challenging all my assumptions because we do about, just in our selective breeding program, we do about 2,000 alcohol washes a year. By the time you add in our research, I'm doing over 3,000 alcohol washes a year. So I do a lot of alcohol washes. So I want to do it as quickly and as accurately as possible. That's why I work on this. So 4 steps. First, you have to cause the mites to release, to let go of the bees. Then you got to dislodge them from the bees' bodies. Then you got to, if you have a bunch of bees in a cup or a jar, you have to precipitate those mites down through the bees and filter them out. Now, filtering is pretty simple with a screen at the bottom. But these other steps, I'm finding out, all are different depending upon the release agent that you use, whether it's powdered sugar or alcohol or detergent or something else. These steps vary a lot. I've been very surprised by what I found. So let me show you. So one of the things, I took plastic clamshell containers, the food containers, shook some bees in there, let the old bees fly off. Then you close it up, and the young bees just walk like this. You can look in their bellies. You can see the mites on there. And I was thinking, oh, wow, I wonder if you could use this method. We just tested this with some high mite colonies, and we don't know why, but you don't see as many mites as there are on the bees. I'm going to be following up on this, but we were disappointed that this is not a very good method. But notice how the mite, you can see right here, this edge of the sclerite, the plates on the bee's belly, the mite is halfway underneath that sclerite. If you touch this mite, it goes down deeper, and it holds on tight underneath inside. So I picked some of these bees out to look more closely at the mites. And I tried tapping them and tugging at them with a pair of forceps tweezers, and to see if they held on as hard as a tick holds on. What I found is when you touch these mites, they bury in deeper. But if you actually grab them and pull on them, unlike a tick, they come out fairly easily. So they don't seem to be hooked in really well. The way they really seem to hold on is with these inflatable pads on the ends of their feet. So here's a foot. So this photograph, I took a female mite, dropped her on the back on a microscope slide, and I put a thin glass cover slip over the top of her. And in a moment, the mite says, oh, well, I got to start walking. And she walks upside down on that cover slip, and you can watch every footstep upside down come down. Here's a foot coming down. Notice this impodium is not inflated. The moment the foot touches the cover slip, it inflates this impodium. She takes a step, and then she lifts the foot up, it then disinflates. And just as fast as they walk, you see these things expand and contract like a balloon blowing up. And these are sticky right here. And this is how the sugar shake works, is that when the mite steps on the powdered sugar, it takes the stickiness off here. It has the powdered sugars on here, and the mite can't hold on. This appears to be the main gripping mechanism of the mite, but I was curious if there's other ones. So in between the 8 legs, there's these 2 pedipalps. If you look at these on a microscope, it's pretty scary. There are these really wicked looking hooks underneath here. And these, I talked to Dr. Sammy Ramsey about the use of these to see whether they use these for holding on. He says, yes, they appear to use these hooks here to anchor into the bee's integument when they're feeding. And that's what I was curious about, how hard they get in there. But so here's the pedipalps, there's the hooks, but this is the actual feeding apparatus, the mouth parts of the mite, the chelicerae right here. And so they're like a knife here, but on the bottom, there's a folded hook here too. And so here's the pedipalps, here's the chelicerae, but look at these 2 hooks right here. So these 2 hooks also can anchor the mite in. So after doing these, that's why I was wondering how hard they anchor in, but they apparently will release all these hooks and stuff fairly easily. So now I had a bunch of assumptions that I made and found out that a number of assumptions that I and others have made were not true. One of the things, if you're a good scientist, you realize the easiest person to fool or convince is yourself. And that's a dangerous thing to do. You need to constantly challenge anything you're comfortable with. You never want to be comfortable with any of your assumptions if you're a good scientist. So I've been challenging all my assumptions as to what actually causes the mites to release, which release agents best cause the mites to release and dislodge, why, how hard to agitate, how long to agitate, and which method gives the most sensitivity. Sensitivity meaning the highest recovery rate of the mites. So one of the advantages I have is it's hard to do if you are trying to get volunteers to do hand agitations, because after, I'll tell you, 60 seconds when you're doing hand agitation seems like eternity. And unless you have a stopwatch and somebody has a whip, they're not going to do it for 60 seconds, okay? So I had to make some mechanical agitators. So I would have a standardized agitation. So this is the first mechanical agitator I used, and we went through a lot of alcohol. This is my assistant Tara for a number of years. She's now in a graduate studies at university, and doing well. But she helped me with lots of mite washes, and we made a 12-hole mite wash agitator here, and this would agitate around at 300 RPM, and worked very well. We got 100% mite recovery, but it was awkward to use. We had to hook up a inverter to the battery. So I've now going through prototypes, developing these small battery-powered mite washers with a built-in timer, and they're rechargeable, and you just push a button and you get 300 revolutions in 60 seconds, and very consistent, and it agitates the bees around here, and the mites drop down through a screen. And this has just revolutionized our mite washing. So we have a number of these. I'm looking for somebody to start building them, selling them. I'm going to give the plans away. I'm not interested in making money. I want commercial beekeepers and anybody who wants these. They're kind of, it's over $100 just for the parts plus your assembly of them. But God, if you're doing very many mite washes, these are wonderful. We love them. And this is a double one, a prototype. You can throw them on the back of the truck to use them. Or what I've done is I've converted my Honda CR-V to a dedicated mite washing vehicle. So we open the back door. This table slides out. We have a leg and a leveling bubble, and now you have a place to work and do your mite washes right here. So we can knock out these mite washes quickly. So first thing I wondered is, we were using 70% alcohol, and then we realized when we went to the dollar store to buy alcohol, you could get 50% alcohol more cheaply than 70%. And sure enough, the mites dropped down. So we used 50% alcohol for some time. So again, I got comfortable. So I wanted to test that. So we set up a data sheets that I thought I'd do, wash the mites once, and then the bees once, and then wash them again and wash them a third time. And we see what kind of recovery we get. So this would be our mite count. And we do all this with very high mite hives. You don't learn anything if your highest mite count is 2, and the difference between 2 and 1 is not enough to pull out any statistics. So we intentionally look for hives that have very high mite counts. If you look down here, look at these mite counts that we're getting here. So this gives us very, very good numbers. And I assume that we get 100% drop in 3 washes. Notice I had to add out in the field wash number 4, wash number 5, wash number 6. And we had to wash some of these bee samples 6 times to finally get zeros on our mite count. So we did 350 washes with different kinds of alcohol just to see what we wound up with. And so this is called a histogram. It's a frequency distribution. So like 50%, I did 20 washes. That means all these blue columns add up to 20. So here's your number of samples right here. So 2 samples came in about 67% recovery on the first wash. 2 of them at 84%. Out of those 20, 4 of them came in up the 96%, and 3 between 95 and or 98 and 100%. This means 50% did not give us very good recovery on a lot of the first washes. Now 70% alcohol, green, gave us much better recovery, but still we had some low ones. But if you look at 91% alcohol, every single one was above 96% recovery. Said, oh my God, boys, I've been making a mistake. We're shifting over. So we completely shifted to 91% alcohol, which was good when coronavirus came because we had plenty of 91% alcohol on hand. But it's also kind of expensive. And then when it wasn't available to other beekeepers, I said, we got to try other things. So one of the reasons I wondered why does 91% alcohol work better? Do the mites fall more quickly through 91% alcohol? The mites sink in alcohol. So one of the things I had to do is first see, well, what's the density of mites? So I went into my kitchen and took a half-gallon jar and a hydrometer like you use for measuring the sugar content, alcohol content if you're brewing beer or wine, and start off with just pure water and calibrate it right at density of 1. So that's 1 gram per cubic centimeter. It's also called specific gravity of 1. And then I drop the mites in. The mites would all sink in fresh water. So then I would start adding salt to it to make the water a little more dense. And I'd take it up 10 points. So which would be 1/10 unit until, and every time and then check with more mites, and they would sink slower and slower and slower until I finally got to 1.1, and you see the mites, about half would float and half would sink, and the rest would be suspended in the middle. So now I knew what the density of the mites was. And then I could look at a table and find out what the density of alcohol concentrations are. So this is the density of VARROA mites, and this is the density of water right here. Notice that VARROA mites are more dense than the water, so they will sink. This is 50% alcohol. There's 70% alcohol, and there's 91% alcohol. Notice the big difference in density between VARROA and 91% alcohol. So maybe it was that. So I'm wondering, wow, could that make a difference? So then I took my tape measure and I measured, well, let's just say I had a mite at the top and it has to sink 2.5 inches to get to the bottom of the cup. How long will that take? So we went out and we filled a graduated cylinder with different concentrations of alcohol. Use powdered sugar to shake live mites off of bees, and then would drop a mite onto the alcohol, and then we'd watch the mite in the alcohol wets the mites very quickly. They don't float, and you'd see the powdered sugar dissolve in the first 1/8 of an inch. Then the mite would start sinking, and they would reach a terminal velocity where it didn't sink any faster. And on the side, I'd have a start line and finish line with 2.5 inches. And my assistant Brooke was there with a stopwatch, and she would time, see the mite falling right here? She would time how long it took the mites to fall 2.5 inches. Okay. So blue is 50% alcohol, purple is 70%, and red is 91%. This is the number of seconds it takes the mite to fall 2.5 inches. You notice that they fall almost twice as fast in 91% alcohol as they do in 50% alcohol. But we're only talking 5 seconds, even at the 91% alcohol, at the 50% alcohol. I'm agitating for a full minute. So it's probably not the amount of fall that's making the alcohol more effective. So there's something else about the alcohol, the higher proof alcohol, that's giving us better mite recovery than just the fall rate. And I expect all you guys do this kind of stuff too, right? When you're curious about something with beekeeping, I expect you guys not to just take my word for it. You should all be repeating this kind of research. You can do this at home. And then I see, and I also used to recommend to agitate the bees really hard. This is the old agitator we used to use, invented by Dr. Medhat Nasser. We don't use this anymore because I found out every time you shake up, you just shake the mites back up into the bees, and as they filter down, you get them stuck. So we now use a swirl method, but people shake these really hard. I'm curious how much shaking it takes to actually get the mites off. So what I did, I made a big container and put screen in the bottom, put it in a tub of 91% alcohol, and then shook a single layer of bees live over that screen. You see the screen right here. And then timed them for 2 minutes. And immediately these mites start just dropping off with no agitation whatsoever. These bees just sitting there. It's amazing seeing the mites just pile off. I did this 4 times. And this is your mite drop without any agitation. And that's this is then your recovered mites afterwards. We got an average of 93% mite recovery with 0 agitation whatsoever with 91% alcohol. Okay. But that's only if they're in a single layer. If you put them in a cup, you're going to see you don't get that 91% alcohol recovery. Then the other question is, could we use detergent? Now, I'd used detergent before and it works, but foam was an issue for me. Okay, so we've resolved this issue. So the question, what causes these mites to release? Is it the toxicity of the liquid? Is it the irritation of the liquid? Is it the wetting action, the surfactant action on the sticky empodia, or is it the physical agitation? So I thought I'd test a few common things out there. A windshield washer fluid would be one. This was a 0 degree F. I will show data also for a negative 15 F. In California, we're not allowed to sell. They're not allowed to sell the really super low one that they sell in Canada, which is a higher alcohol content. Oops. Come on. Then I tested. So this contains methyl alcohol, which is very toxic. A very small amount of surfactant. If you shake this, there's very few bubbles. So it has a fairly high surface tension. Rubbing alcohol at 50% has a low surface tension. It may be irritating. It's also a toxic alcohol, maybe not as toxic as methyl alcohol. 91% isopropyl alcohol has an even lower surface tension and possibly irritant. Then I thought, well, Dawn detergent. This is what they use when they have birds with oil on their feathers. So it's relatively non-toxic, fairly non-irritating, but a very strong surfactant, a lot of bubbles with Dawn. And then Listerine, 30% ethyl alcohol. And inside it's got a very irritating essential oil. So that's what I want. I want to see if it's irritation. And if you shake up, I'll show you the Listerine, it does have surfactant action. So first, let's look at toxicity. So I took the mites and I agitated them for 60 seconds in each of those liquids, then immediately poured them out through a screen and rinsed them with water to see whether they were still moving and whether they could recover. Then I dumped them out on filter paper and let them dry to see. And some of them just walked right off. So this is what's left here. Other ones did not walk off the filter paper. It was pretty impressive. What I found was with the windshield wiper fluid, the mites were still moving when I took them out, and they're almost all alive. With the 50% alcohol, the mice did not move, but after about 10 minutes, they all walked away. With the 91% alcohol, they did not move and they did not walk away, very few. Dawn detergent, took them a long time to recover, but about a third of them walked away. So this is not a very high toxicity. And then the Listerine, very quick recovery, about 2/3 of them walked away. And I'm going to show you the ingredients of Listerine in a minute, this has surprised me how good the recovery was in the Listerine. So then I looked at the wetting action or irritation. So look at Listerine. Okay, so it's got almost 30% alcohol. It's also got a hydrophilic surfactant right here. But it's got eucalyptol, menthol, methyl salicylate, and thymol. These are all commonly used to irritate and kill mites. These are extremely irritating essential oils to the varroa mite. You put them in your hive, the mites just drop right off. So I thought that I'd get very good recovery possibly if it is due to irritation. Okay, y'all with me on this? And if I shook Listerine, there's also a surfactant action, okay? So what I did is I set up 6 cups and I would then immerse the mites in this for 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. So we'd have 60 seconds and move each one. And then I'd count the number of mites released every 10 seconds. And then I would go ahead and then do final 2 washes to recover any remaining mites in 91% alcohol. This is the sheet. So these are the replicates. First 10 seconds, 20. And what you can see is with Dawn detergent, not many in 10 seconds, but by 20, 30 seconds, you've got almost all the mites released. And very few mites stay on later on. Median of 93% release in the first agitation, ranging from 70 to 100%. The Listerine, which has good wetting action, but a lot of irritants, yeah, they did not. You still have a lot of them, even on the 40, 50 seconds, and a lower median, only 84%. So despite having all those irritants, those toxic essential oils, this did not do as well as the Dawn. And then 91% isopropyl alcohol, 51%. I already showed you that we got 93% with the alcohol, the bees in the single layer, but they weren't in a single layer. These were piled up inside the cup here. So I couldn't believe this, right? And the windshield wiper fluid, very few mites fell down. I couldn't believe it, so I ran a bunch more with the 91% alcohol, and I got exactly the same thing, 48% recovery on the first one. So clearly, there was something about having the bees piled up. If you have a single layer of bees in the 91% alcohol, the mice just drop right off, but they don't filter through the bees. So the question is, why do you get such high recovery with Dawn detergent than you do with 91% alcohol? This had to do something with the agitation. Okay, so now I was curious about the best detergent type. So I tested 3 different kinds of detergent. This is automatic dishwash detergent. It has a bunch of sodium carbonate in it, washing soda. It's a low suds detergent, but it's really, really strong cleaning action. I was surprised the first time I used it, it cleaned up all my mite wash cups and my catch basins, got all the dirt out of them on the first one, which the alcohol or the Dawn did not do. So if you want to clean your equipment, man, this one really cleans your equipment. Then Dawn detergent is a very high foam formulation with anionic detergents. That means it has a negative charge detergents. And then if you are industrial or work in a lab, you typically use something like Triton X100, which is your standard commercial or laboratory detergent. This is pure detergent. Dawn has like 14 ingredients. This one has, it doesn't even say, it's got a bunch of ingredients. This has 1 ingredient, Triton X100 in water. And this is a non-ionic detergent, but it also very, very strong. This will tear down cell membranes and stuff. So it tested these 3, and I'll show you the results for those later on. Then the question, the best agitation action. How hard, how long, how much agitation do you need? The one thing I learned is you want to do a swirl. You'd never want to do an up and down shake. You want those mice to just fall down without ever coming up again. So do a swirl action. That's what my agitators use, is a swirl action. Okay, so now I'm going to add an agitation for a minute to those falls that I did before. Okay, and what you can see is, so here's 90 or 91% alcohol, agitation 1. After agitation 1, you get essentially zeros, okay? 97%. Okay, so we stepped up from the 50% recovery to 97% simply by adding the agitation. So so the mites released, but we had to agitate them to get them to fall through the bees. Listerine. Okay, pretty good recovery on agitation 1, but we still got plenty of mice, agitation 2, agitation 3, only 79% recovery with the agitation. So Listerine, it's not going to make it for me. AutoZone, 0-degree windshield wiper fluid. Still, so what we've got is an average of 78%. So still not as good as I would like. And let's see, what's this one here? This is Dawn Ultra. Agitation 1, not many mites left for the rest of the agitation. So very, very good, 98% median recovery on the first agitation. And so this was one, that was done in May. So I repeated it in June. And again, you're up at 98%, 100% recovery. I was really impressed with this Dawn Ultra. But and also I found that there's issues with the alcohol wash. If you get a nectar flow on, you got bees with secreting wax from their abdomens, the mid-age bees. And your alcohol wash can look like that. The other thing is that the 91% alcohol dissolves some of this, and you have to wipe out your cups about every 2 or 3 washes because they get cloudy on the inside. Now, Dawn detergent also had issues, which are why I didn't like it at first. Because the foam's on top, you got to look up from the bottom, which is a pain in the butt. And I had a brilliant idea, if I pat myself on the back here. Take a ladies, well, I'm sorry, don't want to be sexist. Guys, take your makeup mirror that you use and put it down underneath the cup about 4 inches distance. A 10x makeup mirror works best. I've tried the different magnifications. A 10x makeup mirror, 6-inch diameter works the best. So 10x, 6-inch, and you just look down and the mice just jump out of you. So we now have a stand our stands that we do this, and I love this. This makes mite counting so easy. Here I got a pencil so you can count them. Of course, you guys never need to count above 6 mites. You don't have to count these high numbers that I do, but the makeup mirror just, because you're looking up from the bottom, let the sunlight come through the foam, and you can count your mites very easy. And you can see the legs and everything on them, very easy with the makeup mirror. So wonderful to do. So let's compare this to the sugar roll. Okay, it is hard on your arm. One of the things I'd recommend is don't use a glass jar, use a plastic jar. The best plastic jars are your peanut butter jars. Much easier on your arm, and do it over a tray of water. And then you put it back, you see the bees walk in, and you assume that they will survive. But we don't assume anything, so I'll show you the test in a minute. So the test we did, I had a friend come over, and she was curious. So we marked 300 bees with blue paint and 300 bees with yellow paint. And then we shook the blue ones hard for 1 minute, and they had some nectar in the gut, so they didn't look white, and they looked pretty bedraggled and beat up here. And I thought some of them were dead at this point in time. Then we returned all the bees to 2 groups, the control group, the yellows and the blues. And we found out overnight, none of them died. The only ones that died were 3 yellow ones that stung me in the finger as I was putting them in the container. So I knew that 3 were going to die, and I recovered the 3 of those the next morning in the dead bee trap in front. So apparently bees can survive a lot of hard shaking. We're going to try this again because we just couldn't believe it, but none of these bees died or showed up dead on the bee trap. So why does the sugar roll work? So I called a couple of researchers, and I looked at the websites of the universities, and this is the common assumption: the sugar acts as an irritant, and bees will generate heat when trying to remove the sugar. So if you cover these bees up and have in a pile, they're going to heat up, and that heat causes the mites to release, and then the mites step on this. Great story, huh? I called 2 researchers. I said, so where do I get the original data for that? Where's that been published? And they both said, well, we don't really know if there's any data on that. Well, it's not hard to get. So we shook bees in powdered sugar. We put a thermal probe in, a thermistor in there, and used an infrared gun, and monitored the temperature in the middle of that cluster. After we shook them up, they only heated up to brood nest temperature. They didn't get hot at all. We just were amazed. So it makes for a great story, but there's no evidence supporting that story that heating has anything to do with it. The thing is, when bees fly, they get up to 105 degrees. Okay, so if that were the heating were the case, they would just shake all the mites off by flying, and I'm sure they would have figured that out by now, but that doesn't work. So again, a great story, but there's no supportive evidence for that. So then I was curious, well, if it's not the heating, what does it take? So I made a bunch of these shakers out of the peanut butter jars with a hardware cloth glued to the top, and I made a bunch of cups, and I would roll the bees in here, and then I flip it over. We did 4 of them, and then let them just sit here for 15 minutes to see with those powdered sugar coated bees how many mites would drop off. And man, they started dropping really, really fast. By 15 minutes, the bees had groomed off most of the sugar, and then I took them and then I put them in alcohol and I washed them to recover the rest of the mites. And here's what we got. So this is the number of mites dropping by the sugar alone. This is the number from still on them from the detergent. Notice we dropped 58, but there's still 31 on there. So this would be our amount of recovery. One of them had pretty high recovery, but the other ones had pretty low recovery. So apparently it does take some shaking. And I'll return to that again. So let's put them all to the test. So I did, for 5 of on the sugar shake, I did a gentle shake where I just took the, where's my hand? My container, and I did a little up and down bounce. So the bees bounced around, but they didn't slam against the top of the jar. And then I did and I alternated that with the vigorous shake where I slammed the bees up and down to the top of the jar. Look at the histogram here. So we're looking for 95% recovery. The gentle shake never made it anywhere near there. The hard shake, we got better recovery. So yes, if you are going to do the sugar shake, you cannot be nice to your bees. You need to beat the hell out of them by shaking them, okay? So, you know, it doesn't kill them, but you just torture them for 60 seconds, okay? Now, alcohol, 50% is green, 70% is blue, 91% is red. And yes, we get very good recovery. Here's our 95% or above line with the 91%. So if you want to get a sensitive test, you got to use the high proof alcohol. Then I did get some negative 15F detergent or windshield wiper fluid. So I tried that. So green is the 0 degree windshield fluid. The blue is the negative 15, and then the brown is the Listerine. None of them made it to the 95%. So these are all out for me. Then detergents. So the green is Cascade Complete. The black is Triton X. The Dawn, and oh, here's the other thing we found. With the Dawn detergent, the bees don't sink immediately like they do in alcohol, and they don't stop moving quickly. They float at first, and they keep moving around for a little while. That is agitation, but we've noticed using Dawn, by the time you shake the bees into the alcohol, into the Dawn, and then walk to the car, most of the mites have already fallen before any agitation by the bees moving. So I did light blue means I did Dawn Ultra and immediately agitated them for 60 seconds. These, I let them soak for 2 minutes without agitating and then agitated them. So Cascade Complete, the low suds detergent, very poor recovery. The Triton 100, that really strong industrial detergent, fairly poor recovery. The Dawn with the immediate agitation, still a lot of them didn't quite make it. You let them just sit for 2 minutes and bang, you're up there in the very high. So there's no rush with the Dawn detergent. Shake the bees in there, let them sit for a minute or two, and then do your agitation. And actually, even without just a little bit of agitation, they will all drop off. So the winner of all of these tests is Dawn detergent with the magnifying mirror. I build a little stand that holds the cup off of there, and we just do our mite washes very, very quickly. How much time we got? What time is it now? 5:47. Okay, I got some time for some questions and answers. So I've done all these experiments have been like the last 2 months. I've been obsessed, you might have picked it up, with trying to figure out because we're doing the 3,000 alcohol or mite washes a year.
Yeah.
I want to do it right. I wanted to get the recovery. So we've got it dialed in now. We're very happy with our Dawn detergent, diluted at the rate of 2 tablespoons per gallon. And you can reuse it over and over again. Even if it gets dirty, it still works just fine as long as it's making a lot of foam.
I love that. Rady, I did have a question on your initial Excel sheet where you could plug in and see the mite drops over the year.
On the model.
Yeah, on the model. Is that specifically geared to California as far as the bees growth? Or is the growth different?
Back to it. New share.
Since we have a longer season in Houston in some cases than other parts of the country, I was just curious, is that the same pattern as far as the bee volume?
Okay, take a look here. You can put in the default, a nucleus colony, a package colony, a subtropical colony, a high latitude colony, a California 8-frame colony, a colony that swarms in May, a feral hive restricted to 40-liter cavity, or you go on colony tab and you create your own. You put in your own measurements. You observe how many frames you cover with bees and how many frames have brood and what percentage drone brood. You enter these values and you can make it, customize it exactly for your area. And if you do, let me know. Send me this one right here, and then I can put in a Houston, Texas one for you.
I love it. Thank you for your detailed work.
Yeah, I mean, and then if you're a scientist, you can go down here and you can, right here, let's see. Here, you type the word, right here, you type the word custom.
Mm-hmm.
And notice, see where the blue V is right there? When I hit enter, Uh-oh. I forget what happens. It moves the arrow over and it changes the values. You can put in customized values for how many daughters there are for foundress mite, what percent get mated for the worker brood, the drone brood, how much burrow-sensitive hygiene. You can completely customizable. So let me get the error off of here. Where are we here? Error, delete. Uh-oh. Oh, what did I do? I put a big pointer on here so you guys can see it. Oh, man. Oh, Control Z. That takes us back. Wow. There we go. So this model here, just in case you're interested, here's the calculations. Every one of these columns is a new calculation. So when you hit, every time you enter, it does 1,700 calculations. So that calculates the mites in the drone brood, the mites in the worker brood. You get over here. Here's the mice that die from natural mortality. Then you get your mites immigration coming in from other hives. This is when you have bees fly out to die, how many mites are hitchhiking on them. And then you get over here, and this is the aging of mites. It's the age where they get too old to reproduce, so they're still in there. So all of these things are all built. It took me a year to build this model. But I do it on the beekeepers support me, so I give it out for free. So use it.
Really amazing.
This is being used worldwide by beekeepers worldwide. Anybody who takes the time to learn to use this loves it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you type X here, and it changes all the dates to Southern Hemisphere.
Oh. Of course it does.
Of course. This is what happens when as you're falling asleep, you can't fall asleep, so you're thinking about it, and you wake up at 4:30 in the morning and go, oh, I got to go work on this thing, and you got 3 hours of work on before anybody else even gets up.
Perfect.
Wow. That's amazing research. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so who else is questions?
Hey, Randy. It's Nicole here, secretary, and I see a bunch of questions in the chat, so I can just read them to you if that works.
Wonderful. Yes.
All right. So Jeff asked, Randy, how is the testing process coming along with your glycerin OA shop towels? Any closer to getting an actual approval?
No, the testing is going very well. All the labs are shut down from COVID, but we're beekeepers. We live in a county where COVID is just barely starting to reach us now. And when you're you may have noticed this, when you're out working in your yards, not a whole lot of people come around and cough on you. So we're going full tilt normal. And I'm testing out, I'm changing away from the shop towels. I'm testing the Swedish sponge cloths, which we like way better than the shop towels. And so far the results are looking very, very good, but I can't say anything yet until I get final results in. But we're liking the Swedish sponges a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Another person, Therese, asks, the shaking is usually done with nurse bees, which don't fly. Is there a chance that the foragers can get rid of mites by flying at higher temperatures?
There's no chance, but what happens is many of us live where it gets hot during the summer, and mite levels still keep going up in our hives. So if indeed they were losing a lot of mites, I think we would notice it.
Yeah, and it's hot here. Mark asked, have you received any humid area feedback?
Yes, and I have there's a high school kid back in Virginia who actually went through the process of getting, because I can't help anybody because it's not an approved method. So I can't ask any beekeeper without them getting permission from their state to do it. Now, lots of beekeepers send me information, and I have to assume they have permission. But they actually, his mother went to their state called the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, where I have a permit to do this. I'm the only beekeeper and him in the entire United States who can legally use that treatment experimentally. So he is testing it in Virginia under humid conditions. So I can't do it here in California. Our humidity was 16% today. So yeah, I live in a dry area.
Must be nice.
It is nice. Yes, I go back where you guys live with humidity and I think, oh my God, how in the world can you even work? And especially if, I mean, I work bees in shorts and a t-shirt and sandals all day. If I had to put on a coveralls and the humidity is high, I don't know how you would do it. So my hat's off to you guys.
It's sweaty work.
I bet.
We also got a question over email. The question is, Randy, what is your stance on Varroa resistant bees to the point that you can obtain a position and opinion that some survivor bees will never need treatment?
I can tell you right now that there are colonies that never need treatment. We have 100 of our colonies out of 1,500 last year did not need treatment. We have a group of breeders I'm selecting off of that have gone for over 2 years without treatment, and they keep their mite levels close to 0. So there's no opinion. You can come over here and look at them. We on our potential breeders, we do a mite wash roughly once a month. We do at least 5 of them over the course of the year, and we had several last year that were 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, maybe 1 in September, 1 mite, and then back to 0 by the next spring. And these are beautiful colonies. They're not Africanized. They are gentle colonies. They are sometimes the best, most productive colonies in the yard. I can tell you right now, I am so stoked. And I've had a number of large commercial breeders come out because they weren't believing it. So I said, come on out here, help me do the mite washes and take a look and look at them. And they go, oh my God, this is incredible. Yes. So the whole question is heritability. I'm working on the heritability. And here's the thing. You might assume that if you have a breeder colony that hasn't needed any help for Varroa for 2 years, if you graft off that queen, you'd capture those genes. That would be an erroneous assumption. Mm-hmm. The reason is, if that queen mated with a single drone that carried the critical allele, so let's just say she mated with 20 drones, well, she'd have 20 patrolines of daughters. If it only took one of them to initiate the uncapping behavior, the rest of the bees will do the recapping, and they may confer mite resistance on that colony. But the queen didn't carry that allele in any way and will not pass it on. That's what we're seeing. So what we're seeing is we need to do what's called progeny tracking. And we've just realized this now. With some of our queens, half of the daughters colonies are resistant. The rest of them, only a fraction of them are. And I had this aha moment, and I've been talking to breeders, and I'm realizing if we do this progeny testing, those are the queens. So this season, when I figured that out, we'd already reared all our queens. And I go, okay, here's 2 sister colonies that we know had all their sisters were also. So we grafted like mad off of them. So I grafted about 40 queens off of them. So we're going to follow them. They're just in nukes right now. We're going to see if we can capture that critical allele. So like I said, we've gone from less than 2% of our colonies that were resistant several years ago. We made it up to 10% this year, nowhere near the 90-some% we'll need, but we feel like we're making progress. And I just got a text as I was starting this from one of the local clubs saying, wow, here's the second colony from the nukes you sold this year that has a 0 mite count still. So I tell these other beekeepers, man, you get these colonies that have 0 mite counts for a few years, let me know and I will graft off of them. So we feel like we're making progress. So there's no opinion involved. Yes, there are colonies that absolutely, I've seen my own eyes, can completely control Varroa.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
Excellent, excellent. Anybody else want to chime in, or did I miss any questions? Because it's very likely I did. There's a lot going on.
You're welcome to put the questions in the chat box.
Yeah, or you can unmute yourself. I'm cool with
That's
that. As long as you're polite.
Did you see the shirt I got on? I got my Texas Beekeepers
Association shirt. Oh, yeah, I saw you speak at the TDA clinic a few years back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Hey,
Hey, I hope
Randy,
you
this
guys
is
weather it's not sounding too much fun right now for you.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
Although,
Sandy, I've got a question for Randy.
go ahead.
Hey, Randy, this is Sherry Elam.
Hi,
How are you? Good,
I'm-
good
I'm
presentation
gonna get your
tonight.
picture up.
Okay.
Oh, there you were. Hi,
Good to
Sherry.
see you. Good
Yes.
to see you.
Yeah.
I have a question. First of all, this is incredible. Dawn being a formidable testing method. I mean,
Yep.
I've got my Dawn right here.
There you
Pull it
go.
out to see what's really in it. My question is the formula. You had 2% written on the graph. So is that a formula of 2% Dawn
Use two tablespoons per gallon. We mix it up in half-gallon jars, so 1 tablespoon in a half-gallon jar.
1 tablespoon to a half-gallon jar? Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
really easy. And you have some leeway. I've tested it out, and the ideal point is somewhere between 1 and 2 tablespoons. So below 1 tablespoon per half gallon, you don't get quite as high as efficacy or sensitivity. Above 2, there's no benefit. So somewhere between 1 and 2 tablespoons per gallon. So a tablespoon per half gallon works really well.
And you know, so much easier to get a hold of than alcohol these days.
Yes,
because
for sure.
Oh yeah.
They're limiting what we can purchase.
We're not going to go back to alcohol. I mean, we've totally converted. We've done nothing but alcohol for years. Man, we're just all happy with the detergent now.
That's incredible.
Yes.
And
That's awesome.
it's better for the garden.
All right, we don't have propolis and dirt all over our hands.
It's better for the garden too. You don't kill as many plants.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Thanks, Randy. It was a great presentation. We truly learned a lot. Good
You
job.
bet. Well, I'm going to go get some dinner then, and you guys enjoy and good luck. And yeah, if you've got questions, you can always email me.
Thank you so much, Randy. We so appreciate it. And honestly, even though we're in the midst of our own pandemic, it's great to have you from across the way be able to join us virtually. So
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. So glad you were able to join us today.
Yeah,
very insightful.
I'm actually, as much as I miss meeting people face to face, not having to fly and travel,
I bet.
is really nice. Okay, I can get a lot more done in a week if I'm not gone for 3 or 4 days a week.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, guys. Good night. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Randy.
You bet. Okay, bye.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, that was so interesting. I learned a lot as well. And if you haven't already, remember his website is scientificbeekeeping.com, and there is a wealth of information. So just as thorough as you saw the process today, there is a lot of data and research and information on his site. So it's really a great site to go look at and get information from. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right. See, did it work? Can everybody see it? All right, just want to make sure, you never know. All right, so now, I mean, Randy was pretty amazing, but we now have our door prizes, which is even more fun. Look out. So today we have a lot of fun stuff. And what we'll do is Nicole is going to be the door prize picker and pick our names. And we have a couple of really great gifts that were donated today. And so we have an Easy Check kit. We have 2 of those VARROA Quick Check kits. So put your Dawn in these and shake it up. There you go. Dawn not included, by the way. You'll have to buy your own. And then we have a couple of gently used bee veils. These are just the veil piece, right? So know your hive. You know, if they're a little spicy, you're going to want more than a veil. And then we have some honey that was donated by Mike Hardman. So it's really, really fresh. Just came off the hive, 2 weeks ago? And so we have a nice little sample of that as well for you guys. All right, so what we'll do is we'll have Nicole draw names, and then you'll get to pick what you would like until we're all wrapped up. Nicole, you want to start?
Yes. I would like to state that honey. You said the honey was donated by Mike. The veils were donated by Richard Falk, and the easy checks were donated by Texas Bee Supply.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So I went and I pulled numbers, and the first person is number 38 on my list is Christy Haley. Christy, I believe you are with us.
I'm here. Yay!
And dog.
Sorry. Dog's barking right at the same time. Pat barking.
They win too. What item would you like?
Mic check would be fabulous. That easy kit.
Yep. You got it, Christy. Thank you.
How fun. Thanks. I haven't won anything. Yay!
You did now. You did now. All right.
Thank y'all.
You're welcome. Number 12 is our treasurer, Shelly Rice. Shelly, did you want to get something? She probably is like, no. I'm going to just skip her then. She wants something, she can get it.
I just want to say I am here.
There you are.
I couldn't find the unmute button.
Oh, okay. I was just like, where is she? Maybe she just doesn't want anything. Would you like one of these things, Shelly?
You know what? I'm going to pass, but thank you. As a board member, I'm just going to pass. Thanks.
Understood. I didn't want to, I wanted to be fair.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Next up, we have number 70, which is Trey Schofield. I saw he popped on. I believe he did. I don't know if he's still with us. Yeah, there he is. Hey, Trey, I'm going to unmute you. We're going to ask you to unmute. Maybe. There he is. Hey, Trey.
Hi, how are y'all?
Great. What would you like?
I'd love the mic shaker deal.
Got it. All right.
Please.
The easy checks are gone.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's great.
All right. All right. Let's see. Here. What we got? All right. See, the person is not. They're not going to win anything. All right. Next up, we have Sherry Elam. Sherry, congratulations.
I think Nicole, why don't you pull somebody else's name? I will say that's a little unfair.
All right.
All right, would you do that? We traveled the circuit too much.
You got it.
But thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. And some of you guys are not using your right names. Okay, next up we have Adam Shaw. Adam Shaw.
Hey, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, you were actually number 99, aka the very first person to sign up for this presentation. So congratulations. But you also won. What would you like? We have a veil and we have honey.
Let's go with one of the veils. Thank you.
Got it. Thanks, Adam. Okie doke. Next up, number 84. And it is Therese. She was with us. And yes, she still is. She's on there twice, but her number is only once. Therese, hello. I'm gonna unmute you.
This is Cindy. I just joined in at the end and through the link that Teresa posted on Facebook. So I think if she's here.
Yes, there's two of you. So.
Oh.
Hi, Therese.
This is Becky Stemper. I guess I went through her link on the Facebook too, and it came up with her name.
Okay, guys.
Didn't know that would happen.
Yeah, your name is Therese on here.
Okay.
Well, she is not here, so she does not win. All right. This is very hard. I need an assistant. All right. We have Steve. Steve, you've been on cam. I've seen you before. Steve Ewing. Hello. We can't hear you, Steve. You can type what you'd like. Or you can say, like this for honey or this for veil. Honey, you got it. Perfect. All right. That works. And the next three people will get veils. And I'm just going to pull their numbers and let them know who they are. We have Imran Ghani. So I'm going to write that one down. We also have is Steve Smith. You get a veil. And then finally, 45, which is Randy Oliver does not get a veil. All right, one more. All right. Finally, Jonathan Begley, you'll get a veil. And if we can't get these out, we'll roll them over to next month. All right. Woo! Guys! It's hard. All done. All right.
Oh, well, we always love those that want to donate. We have, groups as well as business operators who share things with us. It's a great opportunity for us to give you guys things. But if you ever want to also donate, just let us know. Happy to take things to add to our door raffles. So our next meeting is going to be August the 18th. I can't believe we're already in August. Isn't that crazy? And we have Jamie Ellis that's going to be joining us. He is a great speaker as well and is at the University of Florida, done lots and lots of work in bees, bee biology, and beekeeping, of course. Those of you who've been to some of the summer clinics up at Lone Star College and the Texas Central Beekeeping, he has spoken. And so he's really, really charming, entertaining, and very knowledgeable. So we're excited to have him join us next month. So with that, that's our meeting for today. Thank you all, Houston Beekeepers, and be safe out there.